I had prepared the master bathroom weeks in advance for Edgar's arrival. I checked for hazards, blocked off crevices, and made absolutely certain he could not get stuck, trapped, poisoned, or otherwise taken out by my own house within the first 20 minutes. I was very proud of this setup. So naturally, when I walked in for one final perimeter check, the kitten was gone. Not even home for an hour, and Edgar was missing. There were not many places in that bathroom large enough to hide a kitten, which somehow made it worse, because now I wasn't just asking, where is he? I was also asking, how? To understand how I ended up losing a kitten within the first hour, we need to back up a few days to when we actually went to go get him. We'd been waiting for this trip for weeks. After all the delays, all the emails, and all the emotional instability on my part, it was finally time to go get Edgar. The plan was me, my mom, and my daughter would drive up to South Carolina, meet him, sign the papers, make the payment, go back to the B&B, and then come back to the breeders at 4 a.m. the next morning to go get him. This was not a casual outing. By the time we got to the breeder's house, I was already emotionally overinvested and running almost entirely on anticipation. Before I could lay my eyes on my long-awaited emotional support kitten, there was paperwork. So there I was, trying to listen like a responsible adult while the breeder talked my ear off. And all I could hear was my daughter in the background saying, "Mama, see? Look, I see Edgar. Come look at him. He's so cute. Come look. Hurry." And internally, I was right there with her. Because after all the waiting, I was finally about to hold him. And there was another layer to all this that did not escape me. Nearly 16 years earlier, almost to the day, my mom and I had gone to pick up Mr. Darcy from the airport. And here we were again, making a trip to get a kitten. And I was not emotionally detached enough to call that a coincidence. Finally, after signing my name and handing over the rest of my payment, the breeder picked up Edgar and placed him in my arms. He was whiny, and he smelled like pee. His backside was wet, which I chose not to examine too closely because I'd already decided that he was perfect. And he was. He had a little pot belly and knots in his perfectly toned cocoa-colored fur. He was like a full mug of hot chocolate with cream, sugar, and little marshmallow paws. At long last, I was holding my sweet baby angel. He was a little timid. The breeder had called him a purr bug, and she was right. The second he was in my arms, he clung to me and started purring like his life depended on it, which, under the circumstances, he may have felt it did. But we still had one more night before the real trip home. So, after examining Edgar, we drove reluctantly back to the B&B, and then early the next morning, around 4 o'clock, we drove back to the breeder's house, put Edgar in the carrier, and started our long 10.5-hour trip home. Edgar cried for the first 3 hours. Poor baby. I mean, I understood how he felt. We were basically kidnapping him. We'd stolen him from his mama, his siblings, and the nice lady who had cared for him his entire short little life. We stopped for coffee and grabbed breakfast to go, and the minute we got moving again, he started trying to claw his way out of the carrier. He was not okay. And honestly, neither was I, because by then, his crying was breaking my heart. So, I unzipped the carrier, scooped him up, and held him close. And just like that, he settled in my arms and fell fast asleep. By the time we finally got home, we were all exhausted and hungry. We took Edgar straight upstairs, without any introductions to the rest of the house, No meeting Mr. Darcy, no meeting the dog. He needed to settle, and so did we. My husband was bringing home some food for us, and the plan was simple. Let the kitten decompress in the master bathroom. After eating, it was time for bed. I stepped in for one last look around and realized that Edgar had vanished. We weren't even home an hour, and the kitten was missing. In a bathroom. A contained room. A room I had personally gone over myself and made sure was secure. This is pretty insulting, actually. There were only so many places he could have gone, and yet somehow none of them were producing a kitten. So now I was going, where is he? How did he get out? We searched for about 2 minutes, and then we found him in my tiny vanity drawer. How he fit in there, I have no idea. But I immediately yelled, "Come see this cat, y'all!" And that should have been our first clue